about. Here a little. And down there. So you have to think about your cover before you sew your signatures in, because it's going to affect, you know, how you stitch and what you include in your stitching. Now, for example, I am going to be including this lovely antique doily, crochet doily, onto the cover somehow, whether I go from this side or this side. I have options, right? And how I'm going to do my closure, like what am I going to use to wrap, and how am I going to, you know, close the book. Am I going to use something like this? I mean, you don't have to every time, but this is what I'm going to do. So there's always so many options, and I kind of like to just sort of let you in on, you know, the thought processes. That's what we said here with this video. So I have to think about this at this point. Do I want to sew right through this doily when I'm sewing my signatures in? So this is 2 signatures with about 10 pages in, or 12 pages in each. So 1 signature here and 1 signature here. And there's the spine area there. So I have got to sew these 2 into the spine. So like I said, I have to think about whether I'm going to do it on this side, and then am I going to go through this as well, or am I going to just glue this on later and just have the stitching on this part? I am still thinking about that, but I pretty much decided that I'm going to attach this on this side, and I'm going to just glue it on the back there and go around as a wrap from this side. So you have to decide what you're going to do with your cover if you're going to add extra things like that. If you're going to just get back to the basic cover, which is what we made a long time ago, and we made the spine, and I made it that size so that it'll accommodate the 2 signatures that I have to put inside. And then at this point, this is the back. This is still left undecided. I haven't done anything more with the cover at this point, and that's okay. I don't have to have that part done when I'm going to sew in the signatures. All right, so now we're going to have to make some decisions, when we're going to sew the signatures in. So I can, first of all, like I said, I have made the spine. I have taken the bone folder and creased the spine to there. And on this side, I made it to there. So it's hard to see, but it's there to there, which is about just over an inch and a quarter. So that's the amount of space that I have. Now, here's my next decision I have to make. Am I going to just sew straight through here and then have the stitches showing here, and that will just be sewn into the book, or do I want to sew on a separate piece of heavier card and sew these pieces onto here like that? Sew those onto there, right? Sew those onto there. I would make my holes here, my 3 pamphlet stitch holes for that one, and I'll leave like a 1/2 inch space between it. But I would measure all of that out and sew that piece on to there. And then I would have this as one unit. Now, it would all be connected. And then what I could do is take this piece and glue that into the book. And glue that piece into the book. Now, the only reason that you would think about doing something like that is if you had a lot of signatures and there would be And if this wasn't really strong, there's going to be a tendency for it to rip. So if you put that on there and sewed the signatures to a separate piece, that would strengthen the spine. That would strengthen the spine. I mean, the spine is still only going through this, and then it's glued on there. It also allows for the book pages. There would be a little bit of a space up here when you glued this on. So these pages would be able to lay a little more flat when you open the book. But, so that's if you're going to have more than 1 or 2 signatures, I would always do this extra little piece. You could do this out of material if you wanted. That would be strong, like a canvas duck or something like that. Let me get you a piece and I'll show. So obviously you would just find a piece of material that you thought would go good. Now this piece is a little big right now, but if I made it like that big, right? Let's say I was going to put that in here. I'll cut it to size. And then I would sew that in there onto just this. And then onto the second signature. Those would go in like that. So you just pick a piece of fabric that you think goes. I'm actually kind of changing my mind as I'm speaking, and I might just do something like this. Okay, so now the options, in fact, let's do it to just strengthen this, because there's a fair amount of weight in this, you know, 12 pages, and then there may be more things added as I go. So let's do it. Let's sew it onto this piece of fabric, okay? So this fabric is, I don't know, it's fairly heavyweight, kind of fleecy, soft. So I don't mind using this piece. I mean, it's just plain brown, but I do think it's kind of, if it's going to be sticking out a little bit there too, right? So it's adding something to the inside of this cover. So and then I can just glue that on the edges, and then I'd have a little pocket here if I want, right? Same with on this side. I'd have a little pocket here. Of course, I'll straighten all that up, but I'd have a pocket like that on this side. So consider this material when you are going to add your stuff. Like maybe you might want something fancier. Let me see if I can find something so we can have another choice. Okay, so I just found another little example of a piece of material that I might use. It's just got a little tiny butterfly pattern. Little tiny butterflies, and it's pink. So it kind of goes with the idea of what I've got going on through here with the little bits of pink ribbon. So I could use something like that. It would work very well, I think. So I would sew that into there, and I would have that bit sticking out the edge here. And I would sew this one in here, and then I would have enough sticking out here for another pocket. It goes very nice. It's very nice, but I think I am going to go with the brown. I think probably just because I want it more earthy. And then I can put some other little fancy things on here if I want to later. I'm going to just go with this material. And I like that that's going to match up a little bit. Anyway, so lots of things. I mean, we have, there's so much just in your choosing of what you need to do and how you're going to do it. So we're going to do that. We're going to sew. I'm going to just use one piece of this because it's thick enough, it's strong enough. This material does not rip. It's going to be good and strong. I think I'm going to use that. So I'm going to cut just a nice square piece, and then I will show you how I measure and how I sew a 3-hole pamphlet stitch for 2 signatures. Okay, so I decided that this was the brown I was going to use, so I will have a pocket here and a pocket on this side. The spine is going right around there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mark it so that I can see it, and it will be covered up once I put the stitching in and once I put the signatures actually in. So I know that this is the spine right here. So I'm going to mark it. And the way I'm doing that is I'm just putting it to that side. I know where it's turning up or it'll flip up. And I'm just going to draw a line on my fabric for that side of the spine. And I'm going to do the same on this side. See where it folds up? Turn it around, it's easier for me. So fold that up. So that's the spine on this side. I'm just going to draw the line. All right. So there we go. I don't know if you can see that too well, very well. There's a line right there, and there's another line right there. So now, and the reason I've done that is because I need to know where that is going to fold, so that I have this area here that I can do my measurements, because I've got to sew 2 signatures in, one there and one there. Have to go into that in between that 1/4 inch spine, right? So it's very simple. 1 second, please. Ooh, look what I found. I was just cleaning up a bit because I was getting kind of crowded with my space, and I find that I need to clear up every once in a while. It's one of the things I'm just learning. Anyway, when I was cleaning up, I found this beautiful tatting, and I thought, man, that would be nice to use that somehow. I'm going to keep that on my desk just to see how I'm going to do it. Back to the task at hand. So we've got our spine marked out. We've got the material on that we're going to sew through. We're going to go right through this cover, right through the back of this cover, and right through our spine when we sew the signatures in. So sewing the signatures is pretty easy. The first thing that we're going to do, we know that this is 8.5 long, and our spine space is 1 1/4. Right, so I wrote that down. You can't see it with this pen, but that's okay. That's what it is to remind me of what I'm working with. So I've got this space 1 1/4 to work with to put these 2 signatures in. And I want it to have some, I don't want to sew right on this line because that's where it bends, right? I don't want to sew where it bends. I have to get over a bit to sew these in. And I have to get over from this side to sew the other signature in. And I have to have enough space in between so the signatures are not, they're not, they have, they have some space. So there's not going to be, trying to find it and open it, there's not going to be a lot of space in between there. That's going to go like that. So, I mean, at this point you might think, okay, well, I need a bigger spine. So I could always do that. I could always enlarge the spine just a titch if I wanted to and make the spine go to there. And the way that I would know that is I would look at how many pages I've got here, how big that is. Not counting this side, because that's where it could become a real alligator mouth, but just where the pages fold. And I am really now, if I push down, if I squish those, I could get it in 1 inch. If I relax it, 1 1/4 inch, 1.5 would be a bit better, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to just go with what I've got. I think it's going to work. Okay, so now we get to measuring. This is not difficult. We've got this space that we know. Just what I'm going to try and find another pen and paper. So here I found a little strip that'll do. So we know that this is our spine right here, right? And if I had that up there, that would be the spine there. And if I measured it from here down on this side, it's going to be about there and there, right? So if I drew these lines, if I made that space 1 1/4, and you could do this on a piece of paper, a lot of people do, and I'm just doing it now because People want to know. People said they need to know. So I'm trying to show you 1 1/4 inches all the way down, right? And then down to here again, 1 1/4. So it's over a bit, and 1/4. So that would be, I'm just doing this on paper so that you can see, because when I actually do it on my the brown, you're not really going to be able to see so much where my spaces are. So anyway, let's just do it on paper to show. Okay, so there, that matches that. If that, I mean, it's longer, but that's the piece that would work. So what I got to do is measure this 1 1/4 and figure out how far to go. So what's the center of 1 1/4? About 3/4 would be the center. So I need to be, that's my center line, at about 3/4. So I need to make 3 holes in this 8 1/2 inches. 8 1/2. I need to make 3 holes. Now, it's a junk journal. I know people do all this measuring and everything else. I don't usually worry too much about it. I just eyeball most of the time. So I know that it's 8 1/2, 8 1/2. So what's half of 8 1/2? What's a third of 8 1/2? So I need to figure out, I need a hole in the center space. There's my center. So I need to be in here between this to make the spaces, to make my holes for my pamphlet stitch. So I'm just, like I said, I'm going to eyeball it. I'm going to go about 4 1/4, put a hole there and put a hole here. And then I'm going to go up and I'm going to come down from the top at least an inch. I'm going to say 1 1/2 inches on each side. And I'm going to do the same for the bottom. I'm going to come up about 1 1/2 inches, right? And that's where I'm going to make my 3 holes. And that's a good little guide to make, because now if I make those holes on here, there's that guy. Where's that guy from? It's folding right there. Okay, this guy folds there. Okay, so if I make these holes, I line that up exactly where it needs to be, and I'll just go right through with this pen. Hopefully that went right through onto my fabric. Right, there's one. There's one. And I'm just making holes really in here. I don't really care about this piece too much. I just want to make sure I get the holes marked. So I've got one here. And if it's off, just put it in the right spot, right? You can figure that out. There's my space. There's my hole. There's my hole. In between here, I got to have 2 holes marks, one there and one there. So you can see that that's going to line up these holes. And now I have this guide, which I'm going to use. I'm going to put this aside for a minute. I'm going to just get that out of the way for a sec. And then I'm going to go to my signatures. I'm going to make sure that everything is in. Whoop. That all my signatures are well creased and lining up. And then I find the middle. And so, because it's a junk journal, we're not worried if it's if this isn't perfectly. I mean, if you're the kind that wants to do it perfect, then make it perfect. I'm not. I love the unevenness and whatnot of the pages. So all I do is get some little clamps from the dollar store. And I just clamp top and bottom. Like that. Now in this one, I've got a little center page that's shorter. This is something else that I added since the others, the other business, but I wanted to add this little part. This is something else that I made because this book is about a little girl that she had, and butterflies, and of course, you know, the learning to fly, which is another little thing that I'm going to put in here if I can show it to you. So I'm staying with my theme. Let me see if I can find it. This is one of my favorite things, and I'm sure you all know it is. What if I fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? And I thought that would be really appropriate because it's a little girl, and we've got the fairies in here and the little girls as well. So I thought it's perfect for here. So I'm going to be incorporating this onto the cover later, but for now, I found this little girl who's got the wings, and I thought that would just be so sweet. So what I need to do to sew this in is I need to make sure that this little short center page is up or down or wherever I want it. I'm going to sort of center it and I fold, and then I've got this, which is just a little CD case, and I've put some inks on it. And I'm going to put that in here, in the center. So when I do my measuring, I want to make sure that this short paper is going to be included in that upper and the lower holes. That's why I go about 1.5 inches each way. You could go a little closer to the edges if you wanted to. You could put these holes wherever you want, but this is how I space them. Basically center and 1.5 inches from the top, 1.5 inches from the bottom, and between the spine folds and centered, there's the center, and then my holes. Okay, so I don't want me to be repeating myself 100 times, but I do want to try and make sure I say it enough ways that it's clear. Okay, so I'm at this point now. I've got my pages clipped and together. So what I'm going to do here is just take this. Now what some people will do is they would crease this right on those holes that they've made, the hole markings. I need to get over a little bit more. So that's gone right down the center of those. And they'll put this in here. Right? They'll put that in there. Keep your pages up so that it's tight here. And then we're going to poke the holes. So you can, you know, clip this all on if you want to, whatever you need to do. Like I said, I'm a lot more easy going with it all. So I have this beautiful little kit. That was a gift. And it's got a little pair of gorgeous scissors. You just got to see this. This is so pretty. Little pair of scissors. I'll try and link this. It's on Amazon, I believe. Or maybe Etsy. Anyway, little pair of beautiful little sharp scissors. There's a couple of thimbles in here. This is the one that comes with the kit. And then I threw a darning needle in there. And there's my pokey tool. I don't know if you guys can see these things. There's my pokey tool. Isn't that just a delight? Look at how nice that is. I love stuff like this. Here's the scissors. there's my bobbin. I'll make a picture of this just because it's so cool. So cool. And then there's also a needle keeper. I'm going to put these down for a sec. And there's a needle keeper here. I'll zoom in so you can see this. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? So you keep your needles in there. And you got a little outfit right there all ready for you. It comes in a little case. There's another kind of bobbin, but I'm not really sure. It's pretty thick. And then I've just got some other little thimbles that are mine, that are from other people have given me, or other places. Anyway, I just keep them all in there. So I digress again. Let's put those things away. At this point now, what we want to do, get our needle out, bend our page so that we get it lined up. It's really not complicated. I hope I'm not making it look complicated. So just bend your page up. You know where your markings are. Take your pokey tool and poke right through like that. I just poke right through. Then I took the next one and I poked through the center. You see that? Right through all the pages. And I'm also making sure that I'm getting this little envelope included in a hole punch so that it's going to be secured in there. And then the last hole, I bend these pages forward a bit and then I just poke. That makes me get to this where it folds on the outside of the signature. So now I've got 3 good holes. This is a beautiful tool. It has a nice taper to it. All right, so there we go. That is probably the hardest part. That is getting the holes all lined up, figuring out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Right, so we've got that part ready. And I'll do the same on this signature when I'm ready to put this in. And I've got to remember which signature is going in first. You don't want to get them mixed up, and you don't want to end up with one upside down or anything silly like that. So pay attention. Pay attention. You know, like, think about what you're doing, because it's been done, I'm sure, many times. And I've done it myself a couple of times. So now we need to get back to the cover. We've got our holes marked. I'm going to just poke them because then they're ready. So poke, poke, and again, I just poke it through. And this one here. Poke it through. So they're all poked through and ready to roll. Now, what I could have done is glued this piece down, and I'm going to actually come back here and do that because I want this on here securely, very secure. So I'm going to glue that, and I'm going to make the holes in the second signature, and then I'm going to come back to show you how to do the sewing. Okay, so all I've done is taken just this tacky glue. It's good and sticky, and it'll hold something like that. And I put a fair amount, generous amount onto there and onto that spine area. And I'm going to put that down and make sure that that is lined up good, right where I want it. And my holes are already poked. So I'm just going to leave this to dry while I poke the holes in the signature, which I've already showed you. So I'm going to do that, and then, like I said, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've poked the holes in the second signature, and now I'm ready to stitch. So to stitch, I use embroidery thread most of the time. It's silk, and it's thick and 6-ply, I believe, and it's strong, right? So that's what I use. It's not too expensive. I don't know what these are worth anymore these days. I've got quite a nice collection of them from over the years. So then it would just be a matter of choosing what color I want to do the stitching with. You're going to see the stitching because it's going to go from this hole to this hole to this hole. So you're going to see it. So I'm going to decide whether I want green, turquoise, pink, or gray. So we're going pink because it's a little girl. So these are all choices you have to always make. So I'm just going to take enough for this signature. I'm going to take, what the heck, it's tied up here. Get off. I'm going to take 1, 2 and a half lengths, because I want to have enough, and at the end I want to be able to cut it off if I need to. So all I'm going to do is thread my needle, and that could take me a minute. I'll get back to you once I've got that part done. Okay, well that went better than I thought it was going. So just threaded it, and I make a nice long tail, so I'm not going to lose my other end, right? And you begin. So there's different ways that you can do it. The way that I do it is I start in the center hole, making sure I've got that, and I go through all the center hole of the entire pamphlet signature with the pamphlet stitch through the center. Now here's the tricky part. Remembering we want this one on the first. This is the front piece. This signature is the second one. So I've got that out of my way pretty much. So I'm going to take this thread and I'm going to go through that hole, middle hole on this side. Done. I'm not going to be too worried. Like some people, you really measure and you make sure you get it lined up really good, but I'm not worried too much about that because I'm thinking I'm going to be covering this up with my spine with some material. Some, I'm going to do a decent job, but I'm not going to, get panicked about it or anything neurotic. All right, so from the outside, pull that through. Where's your center? Now the other thing that you can do at this point is, where's my center? Here's my center. You can see where it's going through. Right there. So what I can do is clip this into the cover. If you want to. Clip it. Anyway, so then I go from the outside. I have my signature open now. Don't forget this little middle page. And I'm going to go from the outside hole and all the way through the signatures. All the way through the signatures. It came out right there. Pull it through. And pull up your thread. Right. Now, there's two ways to do this. Of course, there's always ways to do everything. I can go all the way straight down and into this hole, and then back through the center and tie them in a knot there. I can go through here, through the center to the outside, from the outside back in and up. But I kind of like to just do it this way. And this is how I'm going to do it this time anyway. So where's that little hole? Did that one line up? Did that one get a hole? Or did it not? I think it missed it here. So, yeah, finding that hole. So find your little space there. Get your third hole down at the bottom there. Pull your string right through. Oh, I just getting that. But that's not to worry. Anyway, go through that third hole, line it up with that hole on the cover down here, poke it through, and it should be all lined up if you've bound that to that. So poke through, pull it up tight, and there you go. So I'm just gonna pull some of this through so that I've got the thread I need. So there it is. And then I'm just going to go back in through this center hole. From the outside in. Sorry about that. I kind of blocked you. So through that hole. And you gotta flip your book. You got your marks there, so you come through that center hole. Come back through that same hole. There you go. Got it. Pull it. Snug it. You can tighten all this up later. Just make sure you get into the spaces properly, into the holes. So then I find this hole, center hole, and all the way up. And where's my center hole here? Oops, where's my thread? I hope I didn't lose my thread. Hold on. Okay, so I come in and pull it up. Okay, so had to fish that out because I got lost behind this page. It pulled right through. So I had to go find it and weave it back up. So if I had put a little clip on there at the very beginning when I was first pulling through, and I had taken that tail and I had clipped it to the bottom here, right, like that, I clipped that tail to there, it wouldn't have pulled through. All right, so do that. Do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing. So there we go. We got one on one side and one on the other side of that one piece that came all the way down. I'm going to show you on the second signature. I'm going to do it the other way so that you can just see the difference. So there you go. And then you just make sure it's all snugged in. Take off any clips, make sure it's where you wanted it. It's all in there nice. Looks good. It's all on its proper little holes. And you just tie this. Snug it up and tie it. I just tie it. Sometimes people leave them hanging and they put little dingle dangles on the ends. And sometimes you can just make a bow and leave it in there like that. So that's one signature in. Ta-da! So I'm going to do the next signature. I'm thinking it's a little loose. Look at that. It's a little loose. So I'm going to try and snuggle that up a bit more. So because I've only got simple knots and stuff, I can do that. So just go back and just pull on that, pull on this one, pull on that, so it's fairly snug in here. You don't want it wiggling and, you know, all over the place. You want it snug against your cover. All right, once it's snug, it's all pulled up tight, then I can make those bows again. And there it is. One signature. All sewn in. And you see it lines up here nice. Lines up here pretty good. Right? So then I just do the second signature, and I'll sew it into these holes. And I'll get a needle threaded and I will show you that. Okay, so here's the second signature going in, making sure it's right side up. Go to the center. We've already punched our holes, right? Lined some things up. So again, I start through the center. I could clip this into the book in a second once I get my tails and everything all good. So I did just over 2 on this one because I had lots last time. So on this one, this center, it's got to include this little piece. And then that hole. And then there's a hole in the rest of the signature that I just go through. Pull it through. Now this is what I was talking about, clamping that little tail on, so we don't lose it again. It's just another step that I had forgotten, which is a great little tip that makes it easy. And so I'm not going to lose that, right? It's hanging on pretty good, right? So there we go. We've got the first signature started. Pull this out a little bit. And then in through that center hole of the cover. Here it is. Coming out. And then I found the outside of the top hole. I go through that. See how I do that? I mean, you can line it right up and try and shoot for the hole if you're good at that, but I find it easier just to go through the cover and then find the center of the signature for the hole that I need to go through. Find the hole from the outside here, and it's gone through there, and any that didn't get in, I just find out where their hole is supposed to be, and there it is, and pull it through. Now the second signature is a little harder to put in, and if you're going more than 1 or 2 signatures, you got lots to handle here. But 2 signatures, I've done actually 5 signatures, so it's not too bad, but you just got to deal with all this other stuff that's bulking and hanging around, but don't worry about it. So we came through our hole, we went into that hole, back out of that hole. This is secure here, so we're going to pull that. Now on this one, remember last time we went all the way down to the 3rd hole here? This time we're going to do it the different way. I wanted you to see it. You go into the middle again. Into your middle hole. Now the thing about this embroidery thread is because it is 6 ply, you can actually split, you know, you can split the thread when you're poking through, but it's not usually too big of a deal. So, and then look to this side to see where it's coming out and bring it out back through the center. So on this one, we just went in back into here. Now back through the cover. And we're at this one. Pull it tight. And then we're just going to find the outside here. I got the outside cover at the bottom. It's gone through. It's gone through. If I'd had that kind of lined up, I could probably poke it right through everything. So I line up my hole there that I'd made for this signature, and I just poke right through. Whoops, unthreaded my needle. Maybe a little longer would have been better. Okay, so then I snug these things up. Snug them up. Pull them tight so that signature is in against that binding piece. And then I have 2. And I like to just wrap around this center. I like to wrap this bottom thread. Oh, it's hard for me to pick up with this hand. So I just bring that back over and under through there. Right? And I pull tight. Make sure that they're in And then I just tie these together. Like I did last time. Make a little bow if I want a little bow. Oops, that's not easy for me. And there we go. There we go. Ta-da! Hang on, I'm putting my thread back so I don't lose my needle. Put it on a little piece of card. Keep it in my kit. And wow. Then you look and hope that you did it like you were hoping to do it. And look at how nice that's going to be. This turned out great. I still got a little bit of embellishment to do, or adding a few more little pages and stuff. That'll be easy. But wow, guys. So let's take off these clips. We don't need these anymore right now. Take off any other clips. And here is the second signature. I'm going to go up. Yeah. There's the view goes up, but the camera doesn't, so it still gets in the way when you lift it. So there we go. We got 2 signatures sewn in. 1, 2. You know, honestly, it's not difficult. Look at how nice that looks. They're lined up, pretty evenly spaced. Could have done a little bit better job on that. But if I really wanted to, I could have measured it back here, you know, and aimed for the holes. But like I said, I don't care. I really don't. This is good for me. So there is the signatures sewn in. Right? There we go. We got this. This is going to be a pocket. We'll decide if we want it big like that or if we want to cut it down later. Might add something cute on there. And then we've got the signature sewn in. All sewn in, a nice space inside here, so when they close, you know, they aren't, they've got room, a little bit of room. So that is only about, well, my baby finger width, which is maybe ½ inch. And then we've got this one here, and if you like, you can sometimes people, and I've done it, you can put a little bit of trim in there, right? That's kind of cute, hey? Since I use pink ribbon all the way through, I could do something like that with another piece of just straight pink. But I didn't use that, so I would maybe use just something like that. But I don't mind the brown either, so it kind of goes nice. And then we've got the pocket on the back. Flap on the back at this point till we decide what else we're going to do here. So I thought I would be able to do this whole cover in one video, but I did want to make sure that there was enough instruction so that you guys can do it. If you haven't done it before, you'll have enough information. Anyway, and then I just kind of crease down the pages a little bit so that they're going to fit in nice, fold up nice. I mean, some of these pages get adjusted because of the thickness, really, you know. They're not flat anymore, so that fold seems to get a little bit thicker. So I just go back and crease them with your fingers if you like. And but look at how that's in good. Look at that. Ta-da! Look at I'm holding that whole book just like that. Okay. So there we have the signatures in. A little wiggy. This is a little bit wiggly. I'm going to tighten that one up again. But that's what happens when you're doing the book. Things like that can happen. So that's a little loose down here. So I'm going to tighten that up again. And that's easy because I haven't really knotted anything, double knotted or anything at this point. I just wait so that I can go back in and make adjustments like this. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just tighten this one up so that that's it. Okay, so my camera cut out. I'm sorry, I'm not sure where it left, but we're good. I tightened this one up a little bit at the front because I thought after all of that flipping and whatnot, it got a little loose. So I just went back into the center and tightened it up, and here, and then I did a double knot. So now it's all very secure in here, and our book is bound. So all we have to do now is put a cover on, and I will do that in the next video. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you, and thanks for all the new subbies. I'm really excited to know that I've got people that are interested in watching, and I've got some ideas, some beautiful ideas for this cover coming with this doily that I'm going to put. I backed it, and I'm going to put this on, and the way I've decided I'm going to do it is I'm going to sew a button on there and use that as a wrap. Whether I'm going to go from this side or this side, I haven't quite decided. But, and then like I said, I found this beautiful tatting. Ooh. And I'm going to try and incorporate that somehow. And our little picture of this beautiful little angel or fairy. Okay, so stay well. I hope you are well. And I will catch up with you real soon. All right, bye now.